Well, I think if you just watch Mac play throughout the course of the year, if it came to mental errors, he only made a few. He was always very well prepared. I think Sark did a great job with him, but he was always very well prepared, for every game. But he went out there and sort of, calmly just executed and took what the defense gave him and made the right choices and decisions based on what we had coached him to do. Seldom did he force the ball. Seldom did he turn it over. Really managed exactly what we expected him to manage. And I know that when you say a guy does that, everybody thinks he's not a very good player. He's not capable of anything else but managing. But to me, to be a good quarterback, you got to be a good manager. Then your ability to make plays sort of, goes from there. And Mac has ability to make plays because he's smart, he's accurate, he's going to throw the ball in the right place, and he's going to always help the offensive team be in the right situation, whether it's a run or a pass or whatever. So he is really, really smart, but he's always really well prepared. But I think he analyzes what's going to happen before it happens in terms of what the expectation is for him on that particular play, and he has a good visualization of what our players are doing and how the defense is going to react to it relative to what they do. And I think that's what helps his decision-making process so that he makes good choices and decisions.
On one hand, you can say, well, Nick Saban is going to boost his guys, but spot the lie. Is there anything that he said that is inaccurate?
Right.
And I think he prides himself on not overselling his players because his credibility is on the line. But when you have great players, you don't have to oversell.
No, you don't have to oversell. But we've heard him not give the most glowing scouting reports before. We've even seen on that little thing, what was that thing with him and Bill Belichick? I mean, he was honest with Bill about who the best player here was, and this guy needs to do this and whatever that way. So you're right. His butt's on the line as far as his credibility is concerned too. Yeah, and hey, I hear that phrase with Mac Jones, manager, whatever, and Mac, and Nick explained it right. He's a manager with what they ask him to do. But within that, too, hey, some of those plays, hey, yeah, we want you to do this. Here's, 3 guys going down the field. Okay, 3 guys are covered. Hey, but there's a spot and you could put the ball in here, and it's a tight window. And Mac Jones just always makes the appropriate throw, the appropriate play, the appropriate movement in the pocket. And that's where I came away just with, when I came away evaluating him, I just went, man, it's just one perfect decision, one perfect throw. Wait, everybody's covered. Wow. And that's where I ended up going, this guy's a top 10 pick. You say what you want about his body or anything like that. And then, like I've said, you've heard me say too, Mike, yeah, managing the offense, but the offense was more aggressive this year than within Tua. So that tells you what they thought of Mac Jones too. They thought he was capable, maybe mentally, but certainly physically more than Tua as far as the degree of difficulty of drop-back passes they asked him to make compared to Tua too. That jumped off to me as well, and those are little context clues I like to look at when I evaluate players because it tells you what the coaches think of that guy too.
Back to the point of candor from college football coaches. This is a quote from Saban from the Belichick and Saban documentary on HBO from a couple of years ago. One thing that you, Belichick, do that a lot of NFL guys don't do, I don't know that you've ever picked one of our guys if you never talked to me before picking him. And there's a few other guys in the league that do that, but then there's another 30 teams and I never hear from them, and they pick somebody, and I'm saying, they picked that guy?
Right.
So, yeah, call Nick Saban, and I'm sure some of them are afraid to, but he I think, is willing to be candid and blunt and honest because those guys are a reflection on him, ultimately. His coaching or his failure as a coach, and he's going to promote the guys that he think are going to make the program look good at the next level. Every time you send a guy from a major college program to the NFL and he ends up being a bust, that does diminish, to a certain extent, the program he comes from. So he's got every reason to do that. And you know what? If you're the player and you want more praise from your coach when you're heading to the draft, earn it while you're there. It's that simple, Chris.
Yeah, no, you're right. You earn it while you're there. And then, listen, I don't know. We're going to talk about DeVonta Smith, but I know he makes some comments about him. and everything that goes along with that too. You know, just waxes poetically about the player and what he brings to the table and everything like that. You know, I respect Nick Saban and how he talks about his team, his players, and if you really listen to him, he kind of, without maybe sometimes just coming out with the flat-out truth, he's telling you what he really thinks of these guys. And that's where I always like listening to his evaluations of his own team or players that he's got on the roster.
And he did address DeVonta Smith, and it was very glowing. It was very positive, and it was intended to push back against the idea that because he's only 170 pounds,
right,
he can't play at the next level. Saban is convinced that he can. And again, Saban isn't going to sell a guy that's going to make him look bad, that's going to make him look like a liar, that's going to make him look like he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's never going to coach at the NFL level. So the only way he has any credibility at the NFL level is to be accurate when he says, these are the guys that are good, and if you want to talk about the guys who I don't believe in, give me a phone call, and I'm surprised more of you don't give me a phone call. It's that simple.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.